At 7 in the morning, I glimpsed my wife in the driveway, once more lavishing attention on her car. It was the 1965 red Mustang convertible I had meticulously selected for our 25th anniversary, hoping its significance would match its price tag of $20,000. Regrettably, my expectations fell short. Unbeknownst to me, Emma had been entangled in an affair with a colleague from my office complex. Despite her attempts at discretion, her efforts were far from discreet. Her rendezvous were marked by carelessness, easily noticed by those around her. I stumbled upon the truth when whispers and snickers began circulating in the break room. Connecting the dots wasn't difficult. Kenneth Taylor, one of my coworkers, had been relishing Emma's company and boasting about it to anyone who would listen. The affair had been unfolding for over 6 weeks. Twice, I confronted Emma about the rumors, expressing my discomfort and urging her to cease her indiscretions. Each time, she vehemently denied any wrongdoing, expressing offense at the mere suggestion of infidelity after a quarter-century of marriage. We tied the knot right out of high school, perhaps too young to truly understand the weight of commitment. Looking back, it seems our love was more akin to puppy love or a teenage crush, destined to crumble. Our daughter Sophia, a senior eagerly anticipating graduation, was preparing to embark on her journey at Iowa State University in less than a month. Throughout the years, despite ample opportunities to stray, I remained faithful, determined to uphold the sanctity of our marriage. Yet it all unraveled thanks to Kenneth's loose lips. Had it not been for his indiscretion, Emma's affair might have remained concealed. Now, haunted by doubts, I wondered if this wasn't the first time, and if my trust had been blind all along. Knowing Kenneth typically took Wednesdays off, I wagered Emma would spend as much time grooming herself this morning as she did tending to her beloved car. "Dad, could you drop me off on your way to work?" Sophia's voice interrupted my thoughts, prompting me to finish my coffee hastily before we headed out the door. Pausing momentarily beside Emma, I felt compelled to address the elephant in the room. This is the last time I'll say it. Stop seeing Kenneth Taylor. My words were met with a sharp glare. Ronald, for the last time, there's nothing going on between me and Kenneth Taylor. Whoever's feeding you these lies is just trying to stir up trouble. Stop fretting over something that isn't happening. Emma turned her attention back to her car, leaving me standing there, grappling with disbelief. Eventually, I made my way to the car and backed out of the driveway, the weight of uncertainty heavy on my shoulders. The atmosphere in the car remained heavy with silence during the initial minutes of our journey. Sophia, fixated on the passing scenery outside the window, seemed to harbor a sense of resentment towards me. "What's bothering you? You seem really down." I finally broached the silence. Sophia's response came without her turning to face me. "Dad, how much longer are you going to tolerate this? It's been going on for a while now, and I'm finding it increasingly difficult to deal with. Thank goodness I'll be leaving in a couple of weeks. I'm as frustrated with you for not taking action as I am with her for what she's doing." "What exactly are you having to put up with? How is all of this affecting you? Is your mother causing problems at home?" "No, Dad, it's Penelope Taylor. She's been laying into me every day about my mom being a homewrecker, stealing her dad away from their family. Even though her parents have been divorced for over a year, she only started this 3 weeks ago. Apparently, her mom is fully aware of what's going on between Mom and Mr. Taylor, and she vents about it at home every day. Penelope's home life is miserable, and she's taking it out on me. I had no idea you were dealing with this kind of backlash. I've confronted your mother 3 times about this, and each time she's denied it. I'll make a point to address it again today." My daughter's skeptical glance as she thanked me for the ride spoke volumes. Watching her disappear into the school, I realized it was time to take action. I knew exactly where Kenneth Taylor lived. Following his divorce, his ex-wife had taken their children and moved in with her parents, leaving Kenneth struggling to maintain his home. Despite attempts to sell, he was underwater on the mortgage, burdened by alimony and child support payments. Avoiding the break room at work for the past month, I spared myself the jabs at my masculinity. After grabbing a coffee en route, I made a brief appearance at the office, informing my secretary, Amelia, that I'd be tied up in meetings on the 3rd floor for the remainder of the day. She assured me she'd handle any messages. Slipping out the back door unnoticed, I parked down the street from the Taylor residence, waiting patiently. Soon enough, Emma arrived, effortlessly using her own garage door opener. 30 minutes passed before I approached the house, unnoticed. Testing the side door to the garage, I found it unlocked. Inside, Emma's convertible Mustang sat with the top down, while Kenneth's BMW car occupied another space. Though not a car enthusiast, I recognized the luxury of Kenneth's vehicle. Picking up Emma's abandoned purse from the car seat, I knew it was time to confront the truth. As much as the temptation gnawed at me to burst into the house and catch them in the act, I resisted. I didn't need visual confirmation to know the truth. Beside Kenneth's lawnmower sat a 5-gallon can of gasoline, its presence enough to confirm my suspicions. There was ample fuel to douse both vehicles and ignite the garage, rendering any attempts to extinguish the flames futile. Hurrying back to my car before any signs emerged, I caught a glimpse of wisps of smoke in my rearview mirror as I rounded the corner. 10 minutes later, I seamlessly resumed my workday, informing my secretary that the meeting had been canceled as if I had never left the building. Returning home, I found Sophia in the living room, unaware of her mother's whereabouts. Concern began to gnaw at me. Had they been trapped in the inferno, overcome by smoke or flames? Perhaps they were at the hospital receiving treatment. Doubts gnawed at me, questioning the righteousness of my actions when the phone rang. It was Emma's sister, Mia. "Hi, Ronald, it's Mia. I just wanted to inform you that Emma had an accident with the Mustang. She's with me now. She's shaken up, but physically fine. Unfortunately, the car is a total loss. She's not up for talking right now, but I'll bring her home later tonight, and she can explain everything then. Do you want us to come over there and pick her up?" Mia's concern was evident in her voice. "No, Ronald, she's pretty upset. I think it's best if you wait until I bring her home. She's sorry about the car," Mia replied, her tone gentle. "Okay, where's the car right now?" I inquired. "I'm not sure. I think they towed it to a lot somewhere. Emma can fill you in on it later. Thanks, Ronald. I knew you'd understand." Mia expressed her gratitude before ending the call. With a big grin on my face, I hung up the phone. Sophia noticed, offering a silent smile in return. "I think you should take my car and visit Aunt Mia. Your mother had an accident with the Mustang, and she's not speaking to me right now. You could offer assistance and maybe discreetly investigate. I'd love to know what happened, but I can't ask. Just a suggestion, in case you're interested," I proposed to Sophia. "You know I am. Give me your keys. Should I bring her home or leave her there?" Sophia asked. "Surprise me," I replied. With a light laugh, Sophia headed out the door. Settling in for a quiet evening of beer and TV, I was interrupted a couple of hours later by Sophia's return, sporting an even wider smile. "I didn't think you had it in you. You're one sneaky dad." "I love it," Sophia exclaimed. Remaining cautious, I refrained from admitting anything. Whatever conclusions Sophia drew would be entirely her own. "Where's the car?" she asked. "Not sure, but it can't be moved until the insurance company checks it out. Mom didn't want to discuss it and was evasive," I responded. Sophia nodded understandingly and headed off. I breathed a sigh of relief, content that my careful approach had paid off. "Where's your mom? Why didn't she come home with you?" I asked Sophia, eager for any information. "It seems she's worried about how you'll react." I pressed her for an explanation, but she got flustered. "Mia mentioned she'll be staying there for a few days until things straighten out. I don't really know what that means." I asked for clarification, but got no answers, Sophia explained, her tone tinged with frustration. "I hope you don't have any questions for me, because I won't answer them either," I responded firmly. "Good boy, Dad. I don't want to know any more. I can wait for the sequel," Sophia quipped before heading off to bed. As she left, I grabbed another beer, satisfied that everything had fallen into place perfectly. The next day at work felt different. There were no snide remarks from the break room crowd. My secretary, Amelia, seemed unusually attentive. Notably, Kenneth Taylor was absent from work. I didn't inquire about him, and no one offered any information. A sense of unease settled over me as a few colleagues seemed to be avoiding me. In the afternoon, a small bouquet of daisies arrived at my desk. The attached note read, "Thank you, MT Molly." Kenneth's wife was the only person I knew with those initials. Concern crept in as I realized Molly might have jumped to conclusions. I hoped the authorities wouldn't make the same assumptions. Amelia's frequent smiles only added to my apprehension. When I arrived home, Sophia seemed to be in good spirits. Penelope Taylor had apologized to her for her behavior over the past few weeks, though they didn't delve further into the matter. A small article in the back of the newspaper detailed a home fire that had destroyed 2 cars. Earlier, Mia had called Sophia's cell phone to inform her that Emma would be staying with her for a few more days. Sophia and I decided to go out for sushi that evening. Friday morning brought an unexpected visit from the police at work regarding the fire at Kenneth Taylor's house. They questioned me in my office and also spoke with Amelia. Amelia confirmed that I had been present at work all day Wednesday, conveniently omitting the brief period I had gone upstairs. Strangely, our testimonies aligned seamlessly, despite no prior coordination. The police indicated that the fire had been confirmed as arson, but had little else to go on. It intrigued me how they carefully avoided mentioning my wife's involvement. Equally puzzling was Amelia's unwavering support for me. Saturday saw Sophia taking charge of household chores and laundry while I tended to the yard work. That evening, we treated ourselves to a pay-per-view movie and pizza, carefully avoiding any discussion related to the ongoing situation. I was impressed by Sophia's maturity and how she handled the situation. Emma returned home on Sunday, dressed in clothes provided by Mia. Though I was tempted to inquire about her own clothing, I decided against it. Emma spent most of the day holed up in her room. Sophia prepared dinner for us, but Emma appeared disinterested in eating. We avoided any conversation about the car or the incident that led to it. That night, I opted to sleep on the couch. Monday morning brought a noticeable change in the office atmosphere. Amelia appeared cheerful, and the usual gang of smartasses with their snide remarks had vanished. Many of the male employees seemed to be making a concerted effort to avoid eye contact with me. Meanwhile, Kenneth had conveniently taken a week's vacation. I contacted my auto insurer and instructed them to visit the house and collect claims information regarding the Mustang from my wife. I couldn't afford to reveal my knowledge without tipping my hand. I was well aware that a car destroyed in a garage fire would fall under the homeowner's insurance, not the automobile insurer. This meant that Kenneth's insurance company would be liable for Emma's car. I was keen to see how events would unfold. Both the arson investigation team and the insurance company concluded that the fire was indeed arson. However, upon scrutinizing Kenneth Taylor's financial situation, the insurance company refused to settle any claims unless he could prove his innocence. They suspected that the fire would benefit him financially, suggesting he had a motive to set it himself. The police shared these suspicions, but needed concrete evidence to incriminate him. Upon my return home, I found Sophia alone, who handed me a note from Mia explaining that she had taken Emma to the doctor to get sedatives. Emma would be staying at Mia's house for a few more days. Papers left by the insurance adjuster lay untouched on the coffee table. Sophia and I opted for dinner at Red Lobster. Officially, I remained in the dark about the fate of Emma's car. All I knew was that the Mustang had been destroyed. The lack of information intrigued me, and it seemed as though no one was willing to divulge anything. The following morning, I decided to make a quick call to Mia for some clarity. "Hi, it's Ronald. Just wanted to express my gratitude for looking after Emma." "Thanks, Ronald. I believe she needs a few more days here. The doctor prescribed some strong medication." "I'm fine with that. I have just 2 questions. I understand her car was involved in a fire. I'd like to know where it was when it caught fire and why it was there. Call me later today with the answers to both. If I don't hear from you or get a response, I'll bring all of Emma's belongings over to your house tonight. Do you understand?" "Given the circumstances, Ronald, I think you're being unreasonable. Emma is under immense stress right now. This won't help her." "I'm not expecting answers from her. I expect them from you. I'm sure you know what's going on. Either you tell me or Emma becomes your new permanent house guest. Do you understand?" I understand, Ronald. I'll do my best. Amelia exuded enthusiasm and positivity, which I hoped was a good sign. I've scheduled a luncheon appointment for you, Mr. Cooper. You'll be meeting Molly Taylor at the Olive Garden at noon. She'll have a table reserved when you arrive. I wasn't particularly keen on having lunch with Kenneth Taylor's wife, but I felt obligated. All I could do was try to handle the situation gracefully. Glancing at Amelia, I asked, "Would you like to come along? I'd prefer not to be alone in this." "Sorry, boss. I'd be happy to join you for dinner, but lunch isn't my thing," she replied. As she walked away, I couldn't help but notice a slight smile on Amelia's face. What did that mean? I had never given any indication to her or anyone else on my team that I might be available. That was strictly off limits. It seemed my new status as potentially divorced was causing some ripples among the ladies around me. What could Molly Taylor possibly want? Around 10 o'clock, Amelia poked her head into my office. "There's a Mr. Mark Hayes here to see you. Are you busy?" "No, sent him right in," I replied. Mark was married to Mia, a big, gentle giant of a guy who looked incredibly nervous as he entered and took a seat. I waited for him to begin the conversation. "Mia asked me to come see you. She was afraid you'd be mad because of what she had to tell you," Mark started, his expression troubled. "Mark, you look like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. What's so troubling about talking to me?" "I haven't done anything to warrant this, have I?" I asked. "No, Ronald. It's something I did. I lost my temper. It's never happened before with Mia, and I'm terrified," Mark confessed. "Why are you scared? What could you possibly be afraid of?" I inquired. "I think I hurt her. I hit her pretty bad, Ronald. I dropped her off at the hospital and came straight here. I didn't know what else to do," Mark admitted. Mark wasn't a simpleton. He was intelligent and provided well for his family. Both his kids had left home now, and I never suspected any problems in their marriage. It seemed Mark hadn't either. "Let's start from the beginning, Mark. We have plenty of time, so take your time," I reassured him. As Amelia brought in 2 cups of coffee, Mark attempted to calm himself with deep breaths. After a moment, he seemed to relax a bit. "You're not going to get angry with me, are you, Ronald?" he asked cautiously. "No, I promise I won't lose my temper," I assured him. "Mia told me something about Emma having a boyfriend, Kenneth. I don't remember his last name. She was at his house when there was a fire in the garage, and her Mustang got burned up. Emma thinks you started the fire, but the police don't believe her. She's scared to come home. She tried to come back over the weekend, but had some kind of breakdown. That's what I was supposed to tell you." "That doesn't sound too traumatic. I still don't understand why that would upset you so much." I started asking Mia a few questions to clarify things, and she started getting angry with me. The more questions I asked, the more upset she got. "What kind of questions?" "Well, Ronald, do you remember the 3-day cruise the girls took to Cancun last year?" "Yeah, why?" "I always felt there was something off about that vacation. For some reason, I connected that trip with Emma's affair. I don't know why. I asked Mia if Emma had an affair while she was on that cruise, and she just blew up." "I'm assuming you didn't get a straight answer." "No, but I got an answer, just not the one I wanted. She ranted for a while about you and me not being satisfactory husbands. She said if we had been more attentive in the bedroom, they wouldn't have felt the need to cat around, as she put it. That's when I realized Mia was cheating on me, just like Emma did to you." "I'm sorry, Mark. It wasn't my intention to drag you into this." "Things took a turn for the worse, Ronald. I pushed her to tell me the name of the guy she was cheating with. She laughed and said, 'Which one?' That's when I lost it. I started hitting her, and she got scared. She'd never seen me that angry in our 22 years together. I'd never been violent before this morning. She begged me to stop, but I told her I wouldn't until she gave me names. She mentioned 2 guys from their health club, Richard and Paul something, and then gave me Kenneth's name as the one Emma was with. I threatened her to tell me all the names of the men she was cheating with. I didn't care about the ones Emma was with, just hers. She mentioned Michael Foster, a guy we went to high school with, but before she could say more, I hit her again. Then I got scared, so I put her in the car and took her to the emergency room. I came straight here to see you." I was speechless. What do you say to someone who had just beaten his wife badly enough to land her in the hospital? It seemed she had seriously misjudged her husband's gentle nature. She might have gotten away with it if she hadn't pushed him so far. We sat in silence for a few moments. "What now, Mark?" I asked, concerned. "I don't know. I think I need help, Ronald," Mark replied, sounding defeated. We didn't have to wait long for further developments. Two uniformed officers barged into the room, disregarding Amelia's presence. "Which one of you bozos is Mark Hayes?" one of the officers demanded. Mark timidly raised his hand and was promptly handcuffed and escorted out. As he left, I instructed Amelia to contact a lawyer for Mark. Before heading to my lunch with Molly Taylor, Amelia brought me a fresh cup of coffee. When I arrived at the restaurant, I found Molly accompanied by a man named Matteo. "Mr. Cooper, I'm glad you came. This is my friend Matteo. He's here as my chaperone and companion," Molly explained. Matteo was a large man with a dark complexion and plenty of hair. He sat close to Molly, but not too close, leaving their relationship ambiguous. The conversation between Molly and me remained superficial. We discussed trivial topics like the weather and traffic, deliberately avoiding the underlying issue. As our meals arrived, the conversation dwindled further. It was evident that neither of us was ready to broach the difficult subject. We ordered coffee after the meal, and then Molly cleared her throat, signaling a shift in the conversation. "My husband's infidelities have been a source of extreme embarrassment for me, Mr. Cooper," Molly began solemnly. "Usually, I'm quite adept at turning a blind eye to his indiscretions, but since the divorce, I've come to realize that was a mistake on my part. While I can't undo what's already happened, I can offer you some insight into what might unfold in the future." She paused, her expression grave. "Kenneth is a very violent and vengeful man. If he believes you were the cause of his problems, he'll stop at nothing to seek revenge. Even though the situation is entirely his fault, he won't see it that way. There's a possibility he might manipulate your wife into doing things you couldn't imagine. Despite her love for you, she might be more than willing to assist Kenneth in getting even. I advise you not to trust her in any capacity until you're certain of where her loyalties lie. Do you understand so far?" I simply nodded, my mind swirling with apprehension. "I can guarantee that Kenneth will attempt to harm you in some way very soon. My purpose in meeting with you today is to warn you to be cautious. I'll do what I can to assist, but I'm afraid it won't be much. Matteo is with me because of Kenneth. He's my brother-in-law and here to support me until the family can resolve the issue with Kenneth." I had a myriad of questions, but I shook my head no. We finished our coffee in silence. Molly insisted on covering the bill, and then we parted ways. I had been angry about everything before, but now I was filled with fear. Work was unusually quiet. Amelia was eager to know about the luncheon, but I wasn't in the mood to discuss it. Mark's lawyer was busy arranging bail for him. I felt a pang of concern for Mia, but ultimately decided against it. Taking the afternoon off, I swung by Sophia's school. It didn't take long to secure permission for her to graduate early. She swiftly gathered her belongings and closed out her locker. Although she'd missed the graduation ceremony with her friends, she didn't seem too bothered. En route home, I called work and had Amelia sign me out for a 2-week vacation. I didn't anticipate being away that long, but I figured it was prudent to have a buffer. With most of Sophia's belongings already packed, loading the car was a breeze. Given the circumstances, I'd feel much better knowing she was 1,000 miles away, safe at school. Securing early entry to the dorms posed no issue. Old Man McLeod, our neighbor across the street, graciously agreed to collect our mail and newspapers while we were away. The drive to Yawa was long, but with both of us behind the wheel, it passed quickly. The return journey felt far lengthier, or so it seemed. Upon arriving home, I was greeted by a devastating sight. All that remained of our house was a pile of charred debris, surrounded by yellow tape. In hindsight, I realized I should have provided old McLeod with my cell phone number before departing. It was late, so I booked a motel room for the night. I planned to speak with the authorities in the morning. It appeared that Molly Taylor had a keen understanding of her husband's character. After a hearty breakfast, I rang up Amelia. Office affairs were running smoothly, but she dropped the bombshell that Kenneth Taylor had been arrested. Beyond that, she was short on details but insisted I owed her a dinner. Next, I dialed the Hayes residence, and Mark picked up. "Hey there, glad to hear you're out of jail. Can you fill me in on what's been happening, and why are you at home? I thought Mia would have kicked you out." "Ronald, have you been home yet? Your house is gone." "Yeah, I'm aware. Had to crash at a motel last night." "Well, you're welcome to come over here." Mia and Emma moved in with their parents. Only snag is, Emma's in jail right now, along with her boyfriend. "Tell you what, Mark, I'll swing by later this afternoon, and you can give me the lowdown on everything." It was shaping up to be a hectic day. First stop was the bank to assess the damage. Thankfully, Emma hadn't laid her hands on that pot. I closed out all the accounts and credit cards, securing some walking around cash. Emma's cell phone got axed, penalty be damned. I saw no reason to change my own number. After the chaos, I figured nobody knew it anyway. I swung by the police department to tie up any loose ends or sign necessary paperwork. A sharply dressed man briefed me for about 20 minutes before I took off. Old Cleed had done a stellar job. He observed Emma and Kenneth entering the house, even jotting down Kenneth's license plate number. Emma lugged out a couple of loads of clothing before they set the place ablaze. It happened late at night, but McLeod never missed a beat. For once, I was grateful for having a nosy neighbor. Emma confessed to the police that they did it for revenge, claiming I had torched Kenneth's house. I dialed up Mark and arranged to meet at Dreamland Bar BQ. I felt like splurging. He quickly brought me up to speed. Maya wanted a divorce, and he agreed on the condition she dropped the assault charges. Now they just had to wait out the required period. As for Emma, I wasn't sure if she wanted a divorce, but I certainly did. Mia and Emma bunking with their parents wasn't exactly smooth sailing. When their father learned what was happening, he blew a fuse. Currently, Mia was at the house recuperating, while Emma cooled her heels in jail, awaiting her father to bail her out. Things were shaping up nicely, and I filled in Sophia about the house. Amelia greeted me warmly the next morning. I swiftly caught up with my work. The company decided to let Kenneth go, though I wasn't privy to the reasoning. His buddies in the break room were giving me a wide berth, and I relished it. Emma's father called, seeking assistance with her bail. I quipped that the only way I could raise the money was with a second mortgage, unlikely to get approved by the bank. He didn't take kindly to the sarcasm, but I sensed he got the message. He must have been desperate to reach out to me. After lunch, I visited my lawyer to kickstart the divorce proceedings. Then, I phoned Emma's father, proposing a deal. I'd post bail if Emma agreed to sign the divorce papers. He seemed to appreciate the compromise. I assured him that if he could persuade her to comply, everything would be ready by the next afternoon. An hour later, he called back with the green light. The insurance company remained undecided about the claim. Despite my insistence that Kenneth was responsible for burning down the house and Emma had no active involvement, they remained unconvinced. Eventually, I decided to step back and let them handle it internally. At that point, I felt emotionally drained and just wanted everything to be resolved. Unexpectedly, the company offered me a transfer to Huntsville. It came as a surprise, but I welcomed it as a vote of confidence and a significant promotion. To my surprise, Amelia expressed interest in joining me on this new journey. Over the following month, life gradually returned to normalcy. Maya recovered from the deserved consequences of her actions, gaining a newfound respect for her soon-to-be ex-husband. Meanwhile, Michael Foster was discovered badly beaten behind a local strip joint, unable or unwilling to identify his attacker. Mark and I even joined the same local health club that the girls used to frequent, but shortly after, 2 regular members abruptly quit, prompting us to let our memberships lapse. In an unexpected turn, my automobile insurance company decided to compensate me for the loss of the Mustang, despite it being purchased for Emma but still registered in my name. However, the status of the homeowner's insurance remained uncertain. Emma chose to testify against Kenneth, resulting in her receiving a 2-year probation sentence, while Kenneth received a 7 to 10-year prison term. Next week, Amelia and I will depart for Huntsville. While I'd love to delve into the details of our blossoming romance, that's a tale for another time. For now, I'm contemplating Amelia's desire for a 1969 Camaro. It's certainly something to consider. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you liked it, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.